Hello everyone, this is AndresRestart, and today we are talking about how the date for the Nintendo Direct may have leaked, and more. There are more things going on, there's so many things going on this week, a lot of announcements across the industry will be happening throughout Summer Games Fest, and there are some things leaking ahead of time that are relevant to Nintendo Switch 2, but also, likely the main reason most of you clicked on the video, yeah, there are things going on being discussed about this Nintendo Direct, and we might just actually have the date for the Nintendo Direct. And so, that's what we're getting into today. Things are going to be picking up here. There's going to be a lot more to talk about regarding Nintendo and the games they have to offer for the rest of this year. So, if you haven't subscribed already, perhaps consider subscribing. I would appreciate it. We'll be discussing and analyzing a whole bunch of things as the news comes out and different theories surface from all the information. And as an example, today Nintendo posted a quote-unquote new trailer for Star Fox on Nintendo Switch 2, and some people are taking this to mean that there may not be a Nintendo Direct soon. Well, one, let me just say that as many people are indicating online, this is basically just a cut from what we saw of the Star Fox Nintendo Direct. Basically, but there is a little bit more here that many people are missing. Watching through, I do get the sense that there's a few extra frames here and there, a few more sound bites here and there, nothing super dramatic, but a few little things, and so those who kind of want to get everything they want, I recommend you watch the trailer. It will be linked in the description below, like everything else I'll be talking about in this video in terms of my sources here. But, late into the trailer, at the 5-minute 47-second mark, there's literally just straight up new info about the game that everyone's ignoring, and I'll just play the clip right here.
You'll also find items exclusive to Battle Mode. You can create private...
And so, we have learned, officially, about some new power-ups in the multiplayer mode for Star Fox. That laser looks pretty darn cool. Is this anything totally mind-blowing? No, but it is interesting to think about how these multiplayer modes are going to have different abilities on top of all the other typical abilities we have. Now, getting back to the point about how this might relate to a Direct, I think basically it means pretty much absolutely nothing. Even with this little bit of subtle new info, I don't think that really changes much at all. This doesn't mean that much. Pretty much every week where there's been a Nintendo Direct announcement, there has been other news that's outside of the Direct, so again, I don't think this means anything at all in terms of the Direct. Now, a lot of people have been speculating that maybe the Nintendo Direct could happen as soon as this week, because Summer Games Fest is happening, and some people have considered, well, maybe Nintendo would want to put out their Direct before Summer Games Fest, so their games could be featured during Summer Games Fest. And then there was also this little thing noticed by Bradley Taylor, who added me and a whole bunch of others, how the Nintendo Direct archive page apparently was updated like 12-14 hours ago or something like that, not that long ago. And typically when there is a Direct archive update, or rather, let me just say that there is a correlation for a Nintendo Direct announcement to happen within a few weeks, as we see highlighted right here by friend of the channel, Attack the Backlog. But people have been kind of theorizing that Nintendo might be trying to do some sort of like Switch 2 anniversary N64 reference of a Nintendo Direct on June 4th, because June being the 6th month of the year, and then 4/6/4 64, Nintendo 64, Star Fox, a N64 remake, Ocarina of Time remake, which has also been widely reported, N64 as well. We also have Donkey Kong 64 coming out on June 4th, so people are like, oh, well, maybe Nintendo's just going to celebrate the whole N64 era on June 4th with a Nintendo Direct, and also celebrate the Switch 2 anniversary because it launched on June 5th, and there's just like a day's gap there. That's kind of been like this theory going around. Do I believe it? No, not at all. But could a Direct possibly happen this week? I'm not going to rule it out entirely. It's possible. Today's Tuesday. Nintendo can make an announcement on Wednesday for it to happen on Thursday, or they can announce it on Thursday and happen on Friday. They've had some pretty quick turnarounds. So it's certainly possible, and I might even say plausible, but it's not my expectation, and I don't think there's any strong evidence actually indicating it's going to happen this week. If anything, we have things to the contrary. So for example, Nate the Hate, many people have been waiting for his next podcast because it's expected we'll learn about some things he's heard regarding Nintendo, including the Nintendo Direct. He stated just a few hours ago, "We have recorded a new episode which will be available on Wednesday morning," which would be tomorrow morning, and here he explains a little bit more about what it's about. Star Fox impressions and thoughts, Switch 2's first year reflection and thoughts on entering the year 2, and plus direct timing. So we're going to learn about a little bit here, and that would be neat. However, it looks like we may have already learned that little bit, because friend of the channel, Attack the Backlog, who we've talked about before, he has some sources. He's been pretty extremely reliable when it comes to Nintendo Direct date information. And here he says this: "Yeah, as I said, I had been told the 4th wasn't it a couple days back. The date I heard lands next week. Let's see." So, ATB is saying he heard the Direct is happening next week. Very interesting. Especially because someone else is perhaps indicating an exact date here. So Nash Weedle, early this morning, posted this image of the American flag with this green leaf here. I'll note that Nash Weedle is not from America, but there's also these emojis of a calendar and a red circle. Well, someone, Superpon Ricky, interpreted, "On June 9th, Animal Crossing New Leaf came out in America. Is that it?" And a part I failed to mention here, Nashville actually retweeted his own tweet and said, "I've already told you the date of the Nintendo Direct." So he is clarifying this is a Nintendo Direct date hint. And this seems to be the interpretation here. On June 9th, Animal Crossing New Leaf did come out in North America. And so maybe that's the subtle reference here. North America, a New Leaf. That's when it came out, June 9th, and ATB has just told us he heard that it's happening next week, and Nate the Hate's putting out a podcast where he's going to be talking about direct timing, perhaps because he's heard the exact same thing. And so there you have it. It may be the case that the Nintendo Direct is going to be happening on June 9th next week after Summer Games Fest, which in my opinion does make sense because Nintendo likes to do things after everyone else. They like to be the closer. So this makes way more sense to me than June 4th. This might also mean I might have to finish my Ocarina of Time Remake Changes series before that point, because yeah, I expect the Ocarina of Time Remake will actually be revealed then, and so that's going to change everything in terms of how we go about talking about this upcoming release. Which at this point is not confirmed, but many people think it will be confirmed. Apparently, June 9th. But there's a little bit more going on here. So, it's been noticed that Call of Duty is not literally available for purchase or pre-order on the Switch 2 eShop. However, the Switch 2 eShop still makes mention of Call of Duty, which leads some people to believe that soon it will be made available in that way. And what's interesting about this, when Nintendo made their official announcement for Call of Duty coming to Switch 2, they added a little bit of extra text that was not there for PlayStation's or Xbox's announcement of the game. They said, "Stay tuned for more information, including pre-order details coming later this summer," which at the time, and we talked about this a few days ago, I interpreted to perhaps be a suggestion that there'll be more Call of Duty info in relation to Switch 2 in a Nintendo Direct this summer. And that would be really cool to actually see Call of Duty running on a Nintendo Switch 2, seeing how that version looks. That's going to be interesting, and perhaps we'll even get pre-order details with or a bit after this Nintendo Direct. But also, on the note of the new Call of Duty coming to Switch 2, there might be more on the way. Remasters for Black Ops 1 and 2 were just rated in Korea. Well, Black Ops 1 and 2 were rated in Korea, which suggests that new versions are coming out. And I'll just say, I'm a huge fan of the Black Ops series, the first ones, especially Black Ops 2, because that's the Call of Duty I put the most hours on back on my Wii U. So it's interesting that Call of Duty is now coming back to Nintendo Switch 2. Could it be because Activision is aware of that history, that they want to take advantage of that nostalgia factor here now that Modern Warfare is on the way, but also bring out some remasters for Call of Duty Black Ops, so Nintendo fans around that time that were playing Call of Duty can enjoy those remasters in excitement for the latest Call of Duty, perhaps getting even more people to buy the new one as well. Well, we have a rating here, so I would say that bodes pretty well for this actually happening. But other games that might be showing up relatively soon, if not in the Direct, at least at some point over the next week or two because of all the announcements that are happening, a Super Ukulele cart page has appeared on Steam DB. A lot of Nintendo fans are big on Ukulele because it's a spiritual successor to Banjo and Kazooie, and so it seems like they're working on this. We have 2D Ukulele, we have 3D Ukulele, now we're gonna have Ukulele Cart. That would be very fitting. We also seemingly have more leaks for Rayman Legends Retold. So this looks like the blurred version for the Switch 2 box art of Rayman Legends Retold, and we're learning here from Bilbo-kun that it should be featuring a couch co-op mode only, not online, but it will also include a free copy of Rayman Origin Enhanced Edition, and yeah, this would be a game keycard, but also it's going to require an internet install on PlayStation 5. But now let's talk about the image leaks here, because, as Necroflip is sharing here, there are some leaked images for this remake of the game, and it looks beautiful. This is compressed, so it's not the perfect quality here, but it's a good-looking version of the game, and so that'd be kind of a big deal. Like we're seeing some different games coming back that we played back on the Wii U era, so that's interesting. Another little update here: Reese Kiwi Talks Riley, who has been talking about this game that when he was told would be coming to Switch 2, felt like it was like a WTF game. Like he just was shocked that it would be coming, and he's put out hints about it throughout the year. It's not necessarily any of these games here, but these are all, I suppose, possibilities. He's trying to give us somewhat of an understanding of what the game might be. But he's saying now, I'd be very surprised if the WTF game doesn't get announced this month in one of the showcases. Which, you know, there's a whole bunch of showcases coming, including apparently a Nintendo Direct next week. What might that game be? Honestly, I have no idea at this point. There's so many different possibilities. In my opinion, there isn't really any game that is like a WTF game. Just looking at the image here, I think all these games could theoretically come to Nintendo Switch 2. The three least likely, in my opinion, would be these three right here. But what I would want to see the most is Bloodborne come to Nintendo Switch 2. That would be crazy, that would be awesome, and might actually be a really great thing to put on the Switch 2, especially with the Dust Bloods on the way, because aesthetically speaking, it does feel like there's a similarity there. Some people have even speculated that it's kind of like a spiritual successor. So that would be interesting, and I just love Bloodborne, so having it on Switch 2 would be very cool. But what do you think? What do you think might be the WTF game? Reminder, it isn't necessarily one of the games that's listed here. It could be something else, but something along these lines. But that wraps it up for today's video. What do you all think? What do you make of these leaks? What do you make of this information? Do you believe the Nintendo Direct is happening on June 9th? Let me know in the comments below. This is AndresRestart. If you've gone this far and you found yourself enjoying the video, but you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. There's so much more we're going to be talking about. But I'll see you all really soon. Take care. Bye.